Hi guys, and welcome back. And should be a short and sweet episode today. So I had one question, and I'm just going to talk about one thing I'm doing with my own students because I always think it's a good thing to review. And what I'm doing is I'm looking at how to develop speed, right? So there's three methods of developing speed. I might have talked about this in the past. So there's primary methods, secondary methods, and tertiary methods. And we should be doing all three of these in our routines to help develop. Like, and when we say speed, what speed helps for a distance runner is running economy. It's one of three things again um, that determines running performance. The three things that determine running performance are your VO2 max, like how much oxygen you can take in, your lactic threshold, how much of that oxygen anaerobic you can use, and then lastly is running economy. How efficient are you at running? And a mix of those three things, the energy systems, the capacity, and then how efficient you are at running, determine how fast you're going. So when we're looking at speed, we're looking at how do we improve running economy? Because if we can get faster, what happens is we get more efficient at the at slower paces, essentially. If you're only running at say 80% of your max speed, versus running at 90% of your max speed, well then that's going to be a little bit easier. So let's talk through them. The first element is primary methods. And what primary methods indicates is working on the technique, working on your running technique. Okay, so how do you improve that? Well, that's where our drills come in. Look, doing our high knees beforehand, doing our bum kicks, skipping, especially skipping for distance, is a really good one. Even if you do it nice and slow, what it works on is getting the foot and knee behind the hip. Okay, so a lot of people, when they hit the ground, they don't push through the hip, and we lose a lot of the extension there. So we want to work on that extension. So adding like if you're warming up for a session or even doing a few drills, really important. Ones you can do is having, if you ever see my warm-up drills, you see I'll put my arms up overhead because this is getting used to trying to like stabilize the core as you're moving. So if I have my two hands up and I'm not trying to let those hands move, you're getting that kind of co-activation of the core. Doing our A skips, doing our B skips. If it's for acceleration at the start, like doing our wall drives for power, uh, adding in actual skipping, adding in high knees, bum kicks. These are like our drills, our running drills, even our karaoke's to get you kind of moving on your toes. Other ones here, like even like jump rope or skipping rope to get that um get that ground contact improved. So when we're hitting the ground, we're coming a little bit more reactive. I did a uh, I did a post on Instagram this week that was quite popular, which was like I was just remixing a video, and the video had some good skipping drills, like or not skipping drills, but like plyometric drills. But the thing with plyometrics that I'm always a little bit worried about is, which is kind of very fast hopping and landing, is people um not having the capacity essentially to be able to do it correctly. Okay, so they're doing it poorly, and then their muscles aren't used to that. So, say for example, you say you're going to do 20 hops. One, you might be landing very like hard, like taking a lot more of the load than you should be. Secondly, like um, you might have the capacity, like your joints and stuff mightn't be, or even the muscles and the tendons and uh the tendons especially mightn't have the capacity to develop that. Hi Dara, how are you? And let me just pin myself. So you might have the capacity to develop that elastic recoil. So if we instead do skipping, so rather than say having 20 hops that we're going to do, if we just say, okay, I'm going to skip for 50 seconds, if you keep hitting the rope because you don't have the coordination and the muscular the muscles aren't able to like skip correctly, you'll just keep hitting the rope. So what will happen then is that you might, in the 50 seconds, might only get like 10 hops. And then next week that you're doing skipping, you've had a time to like recover. You've had a time to your muscles to kind of get used to that. So you might get 15 hops, like jumps in that time. So the skipping rope is like kind of limiting you to what you're able to do. Yeah, so I like doing skipping more than those hops, but that would be like what we call a primary method. Looking at primary methods of developing speed. The first is technique. We said arms overhead as we're running. We said skipping. We said drills like A skips, B skips, just skipping forward. So like trying to do like a little skip, and then like jumping rope or skipping rope as we call it over in Europe. Will be the first method where you're developing the actual technique of running. If it's acceleration, like in field sports, I know it's not as much, but people might be training. You want to look at that forward drive. So the forward position. Ways you can do that is doing wall drives, having people starting on the ground and coming off the ground, coming off their stomach as they run. It will just allow them to lean forward and still be running. Other things we can do is like pushing a med ball forward and running after it to get good at that kind of forward or first foot acceleration. There's loads of other drills I'm blanking on now. Starts, so practicing that. Wall drives, what else would I do? Yeah, if I come back to any of the primary methods, I'll say. Then the secondary methods is sprinting. They talk about if you want to run fast, you got to run fast. So if we're trying to improve running economy, that means we need to have strides in our week. Okay, so we should be, even if it's like, say if you only have 50 minutes for a run, stop after 45 minutes and do like 4 strides if that takes 5 minutes. Okay, so increasing the pace. You don't, and I wouldn't be forcing this. This is just like a bit of an increase in pace. It gets the range of motion better, which kind of breaks up the like same load going through the body. But more importantly, then it just gets the body used to moving faster. And because you're moving faster, then the body has to work out more efficient ways of doing that. And then that will help you when you're running slower. Okay, so if you want to improve a 5K, 10K time, if you're just doing like strides, maybe once a week or before you do your workouts, so say if you've done an easy jog, you've done some of your stretches, that's a great time to get 3 or 4 like 100-meter strides done. You don't have to push these hard. When I'm doing strides, I always have it in my head, like feeling good, looking easy. So when someone's looking, you shouldn't look like you're forcing anything. You should feel good inside. And if someone's looking at you, it's like, oh, they look very relaxed and they're going to naturally be strong. So we're not ever forcing our strides. Because the thing is, if I go like a 90% effort, feeling good, if I'm consistent with those, the speed of that will improve over the weeks. Okay, so you might be like, say, 20 seconds for 100 meters in the first week. And I wouldn't even count it. I never even record the times. The same effort in like week 6 might be like 18 seconds or 19 seconds because things are just coming easier to you and you haven't forced it. So just little and often is the recommendation there. In addition to that, that's why we're doing intervals. We're not just doing the same runs the whole time. So we're adding in intervals like we do our fartlek, like minutes on, minutes off. That's why we do even our AT and our LT. Changing the type of running that we're doing. That's why we should have 2 workouts in the week, and we should have some strides that we do before each workout. The warm-up is a great time to work on improving speed because of that. And I'll just go through that in the end. So things we can do: fartlek, hills will get good power. Strides will improve the running like efficiency because they're a little bit faster. Intervals, they could be like on the track or just around where they're usually 1 minute or 2 minute. We're looking at like 5K, 10K pace kind of stuff. Usually like 400 meters, maybe go 600 meters, max 800 meters. Yeah, so having in our week do we have 2 sessions in there where we're actually changing the pace of our runs? In our week, do we have one time, usually the day before, and then maybe even in the 2 workouts where we're doing some strides? So an ideal week for me, say if you were training 6 times, Monday might be an easy run, Tuesday, and I would cut the run. I wouldn't be like, oh, I don't have time for strides. What I would say to you then is you don't have time for the last 5 minutes of your run because you're cutting that out. So if I was meant to do a 50-minute run, I would do 45 minutes, and then I would do 4 20-second strides, jog or walk back, stretch, and use that for the last 5 minutes. So like an ideal week could be like Monday run and then 3 minutes of like skipping at the end. I always have my skipping rope outside my house. So I'll do 3 by 50 seconds of skipping. I'll go 20 with double foot, 10 with 1 foot, 10 with 1 foot, 1 2 1 2 being 1, and doing that 10 times. That would be 2 3 3 4 4, and so on. As I said, you set a time for that. You don't set a set amount, because the first week you mightn't even get the 20 skips double leg done. If you're very poor at it, you'll just keep hitting the rope, and that's what you're all you're ready for. Over time, as you get better at it, that'll improve. Tuesday then would be another easy run, but some strides at the end of the run, 15 seconds, not forcing the stride, just like picking up the pace, an easy walk, jog back, recovery, and then doing that 4 times. And that primes you for Wednesday, do a workout. And I do some strides beforehand. You can see even when we do, sometimes if we do like 3 to 5 by 7 minutes at zone 3, we'll have like 4 by 20-second hills at the end, just something to get the legs turning. But I might have like, again, 3 15-second strides before the workout. And I'll just show you my warm up there again for a second. And then Thursday, easy day or rest day. Friday, rest day or very easy day. Saturday, workout again. And again, you'll do your 3 strides beforehand, and then you could be doing some intervals or some kind of like 1-minute reps with some of your maybe zone 4 stuff. And then Sunday long run, don't worry about any of your stride stuff. So we're just adding things in to improve that running economy. It's one of 3 things that determines our performance, so we should be kind of including it. So that was secondary, is actually us adding in sprinting, adding in strides, adding in intervals to improve how efficient we are at that speed. Especially if you're a neurological runner, which I am, you need to practice running at the speed that you're going to be running in races. You can't go into races never running that speed. Now, that doesn't mean you need to do like, be flogging yourself with like 5 by a K at 5K pace. But it does mean that you need to be going in close enough to that, maybe over 1-minute intervals. Like we've talked about in sessions where you might do 6 minutes of like a zone 3 or 4. Then you might do 8 by a minute at 5K pace, for example, off 60 seconds. And then you might finish with a little bit of zone 3 work again, like 6 to 10 minutes at zone 3. So a lot of it's that aerobic. The middle bit's not that hard, but it gets your legs turning so that when you go into a race, it's not like, oh my God, I've never worked at this pace before, which can happen a lot of times. And it's happened to me once or twice. And I've had to learn my lesson there that I need to practice that pace, especially coming into the race, like 6 to minimum 3 weeks before it. Okay, and the last thing then is territory, is stuff that we do with our Pilates, with our gym, keeping us like, keeping the range of motion there, keeping the power and strength in our body. Okay, so we talked about, we might have like a dowel or hands overhead when we're striding, that might keep the core solid. Well, if you're not doing any work that's working the core, or if you're not doing any work that's increasing the strength in the legs, you don't have the capacity to tap into in your running mechanics. So we need to be doing something once in a week that's like improving your mobility, improving your strength, improving your coordination. And that's our territory method. So that was stuff that I was just working on my students, and I said I just wanted to bring in here. Hey Dara, do you have any questions for me, or are you just on for the watch?
Yeah, I do have some questions. I'm coming from the point of view of recurring injury.
Yeah,
And I was fine up until a fast half marathon I did in Tullamore, August 23. And it was part of,
23. That's a long time ago. Okay.
yeah, unfortunately it is. And I had incorporated it as part of the run up to the New York Marathon in November.
Yeah.
And I unfortunately kind of went all out in the half marathon. And
Just gonna grab
I
a pen so I can write down some stuff. Yeah, keep going.
I went into the marathon feeling a little bit kind of burnt out, tired, and I had a I just basically went into a cycle of slower marathons from then on, and then um by the following year, which was like M March 24, I got a when I did Barcelona, and I got my hamstring. I felt it kind of niggling during it, but afterwards, coming towards the finish, I on my right side, I'd really bad upper hamstring
I
problems.
was going to say up around the bum, like on the attachment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
it's
then
really popular.
just
Yeah, it's really.
took months to sort that out, and
Yeah, proximal hamstring tendinopathy is terrible.
and I think it just is a recurring problem, and just want interesting to hear your thoughts on how you incorporate rehab of that as part of a training cycle
Yeah,
for next.
like what is the next marathon on?
The next marathon's in February in Seville.
Why do you keep doing marathons?
Um, as opposed to what, shorter races?
Yeah, because like we'll talk about the actual like hamstring tendinopathy, and if you're doing the Pilates, that's great because we'll talk about do you do some kind of strength training or stuff or no, not really.
I did, yeah, I did. And in fact, that's when I neglected that. That's when the injury happened.
Yeah, so look, because they are like passive overload, so adding that back in will really help because especially around that tendinopathy, we want to just put a particular load. Now that high hamstring tendinopathy is really awkward, but what we'll try look doing is getting the pelvis moving better. So sometimes if the pelvis isn't moving smoothly, if you think the hamstring attaches down here, it just has to work a lot harder. It's like if the door is slightly off its hinges, your arm, which would be the hamstring, has to work a lot harder. So I'll just show you a few things in the app uh, where they are of what to do for that and what we do. But I kind of mess around with the high hamstrings things anyway, and then so we'll do that in a second. But I think if you're going from like as you said, like that run in Tullamore in 23, then you do the marathon in 24, then you do another March marathon in Barcelona, and it's like getting really sore. It's like like um it's like if we're pushing a car where the engine is broke or something, and it's like we're getting it there, and then like, oh great, that was hard. Now let's push it to the next place. And it's like, you know what, we kind of need to get this like engine fixed. It's going to make everything it would be different if you were like, look, I'm running PB after PB. I'm breaking down a lot, or I'm not feeling good doing it, but like I'm on a good streak, so I want to keep it going. But it sounds like it's like because of this, it's not making the running enjoyable, and you're not running as good as you have been. Like you're not running PBs at the moment.
No, not nowhere near it. No.
Yeah, so then it's like, well, what are we doing it for? You've done marathons. It's not like someone's going to go, oh, Dara, geez, you got the marathon done. It's like probably got like I don't know how many done. You've probably got like at least 4 or 5 done in the last. Sorry, 1 second. Yeah, so in the last like year or 2 or 3. So it's like, well, you don't need to do marathons. I know they're a good buzz, but they're also like, I had another woman who like that came in and was sorry, I'm taking this thing off. Say this is sounding nice if you're listening to it. I'm just gonna roll the bottom of my foot. Had another woman, same kind of thing. It's like 2 questions. It's like I want one, how do we fix this injury I've had for ages? And then two, I'm getting ready for this marathon. I'm like, if you think those 2 questions match together, you're like crazy. They don't you know.
Yeah.
So what we did with her, she was able to switch to a half marathon. But even if look, I don't know where it is, but get your money back. But it'd be like, I'd be looking at like, can we switch down to like 10K training or 5K training and see does that like variation there allow the body to kind of recover? So rather than going, yeah, let's fix this proximal hamstring tendinopathy, but we still got to get a few 20 milers in. We can be like, let's fix this hamstring tendinopathy, get you moving smoother, get you running well, and then build back up to a marathon because you're going nowhere doing what you're doing. Now, look, sometimes it's just like you kind of know it, but you need to hear it bluntly. And I'm always a good guy to come to for that. So how does that sound, or what are you thinking? Because the only
Yeah,
thing, yeah, go on.
My PB is 3:31.
That's
And
good.
I managed, well, yeah, it's a while ago. It's 3 years ago. I managed to get under 4 in March in Paris.
Yeah,
So
but who cares? Like, if you ran 3:31, going under 4 is,
it was my first time getting back under 4 from recurrent injuries. And I thought I was heading back towards the 340s, that kind of thing. Um,
no, look,
my
I'll know. I'll just tell you one thing here. I think it's because I interrupt people, or I'm so adamant that it's the right thing to do. Nobody takes my advice. There was a guy I wanted to go to America on a running scholarship. I spent 60 minutes talking at him. And like, I'm just terrible. If I'm like, this is the right thing to do, uh, I was, everything in me was like trying to convince him to do it. And then next day he's like, I'm not going. And I was like, I should have tried convincing the others. So I should probably be on this saying you need to be running marathons.
no,
But
no.
so
Oh, and I hear where you're coming from.
yeah, yeah.
I'm not under any time pressure. My ultimate goal is to get back into Boston with a decent BQ. That
Yeah.
that's but there's no mad rush in that. Like I
Yeah,
hope.
so if it was me, look, Darren, as I said, you if you, I wasn't even saying, I was just saying it's just always funny. I don't know what it is. I think I'm too, I don't know what it is. I think I'm too certain of what to do that it makes people go, oh, I don't really believe it. 100%. It's not even like 99 for me. 100% you should not do Seville Marathon. I would be like looking at like just get a nice base. I would be, because if you get faster, say over the 10K or 5K, it's kind of what I was talking there with the speed. It's like now all of a sudden, like doing your marathon training block is easier because like the marathon pace is not like up to 100. And if you were at the moment, right, with that high hamstring tendinopathy, a lot of it is, in addition to the pain, it's like stiffness. And it's like you don't feel like you're moving smooth at all. So
Yeah.
then it's like, even to run marathon pace, it's like, it's way less efficient because you're having to run, like the effort wise, it's very hard to push through that. So rather than
Mm.
things flowing and going, well, because I've got used to doing a few 5Ks and 10Ks, say in the spring, and then we do and spring marathons, like I'll probably be advertising for him, like for training for people again, but like they're bleak enough. Like, you know, it's so grey outside, and you're into December and January with long runs. It's like it's bleak enough, to be fair. You know, you do a 2.5 hour run and it's 3 degrees and lashing. It's not, whereas like at least with a uh it can be warm and it's uncomfortable, but like, you know, you get a few nice September days. It's nicer, you know, training for like your kind of end of October or your Berlin or whatever. Um, so look, what I would do, Dara, is, and then we'll start going through stuff to do. Would be I would scrap Seville completely. I would spend probably 2 weeks just focus more on like the Pilates, focus more on some of the rehabs, even if it meant like we're taking like our downtime now for running. And then I'd get back into like easy running with like maybe the Pilates once a week and then the 10-minute hamstring rehabs once a week. So two of those, easy running for like 2-3 weeks, 2 weeks maybe, and then start. We have follow along plans. So if you have a heart rate monitor, I would get a lactic test, even if you're unfit. But like you can just get in for the first bit. We'd have follow along plans like sessions for you to do in the week. We'd focus on either a 5K or a 10K, depending on what one you want to pick. We'll do that for like, say, that would be the goal for November. That'd be go kind of probably December and January. You could probably do a race on like Stephen's Day. There's always a few nice ones. Then pick another one maybe in like January or February to run. I don't know even over in Seville if you have flights that they have a 10K. Take a little bit of downtime, and then what you're hoping is in March or April we do another one to that, but that you're starting to move. You're feeling like the hamstring's more under control. I'm moving freer. I'm feeling healthier in myself because as I said, sometimes you just need an objective voice to tell you it's like you are going nowhere here. And you're just in there and you're digging a hole and you're working your hardest. And it's like you have to stop digging. Like, and going from marathon to marathon, like fair enough, it was a first one. Like Monica, she wouldn't have ran sub 4, and she ran another, like she ran sub 3:30 a few times now. She ran 3:27. But she's got PBs all year, and now even she had kind of done marathon, half marathon. She did another marathon, and her foot was getting sore. Now that was fine. She taped it up. Hamstring was sore. So I was like, talked about it a couple of weeks ago. I was like, okay, you now are on 2 weeks of an extended break, and then focus more on the Pilates, focus on strength, and then it's unstructured training, just like jogging, doing some club sessions till probably January, like just easier training, because it's just like it's been too much, and like that's on a high finishing, whereas you are like so far past that. Like if you had been on these calls say last year and you said you hurt yourself in Tullamore, I would have probably said, look, we'll keep going, see if you can kind of manage it. But once you did New York, and I'd be like, look, we need to fix this now. And if you think of it, if you look back now, you're like, yeah, shit, if I had have actually just fixed that now in, kind of end of 23, God knows where I'd be now at the end of 25, wherever I just kept kind of just rolling, stop start. So I don't know how that sounds.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, let's see if you do it. Yeah, so what I would do is, I would just take 2 weeks. So where would I go? Sorry, I was going to show these. I'll show these things, guys, back in a second. These are the pre-run, the warm-ups and stuff just for that sprinting thing. God, this always flies. So just doing the Pilates in general, running injuries are all really similar. Like the muscles aren't being used. So then like the ligaments, the tendons, or the joints are taking too much stress. So a lot of times we're focusing on the things where the hamstring attaches is on the bottom of the pelvis. So the two things you need to do is like get the pelvis stable. So getting used to holding the pelvis, but also allowing the pelvis to move when we want it. And then to get the like glute working more to take pressure off the high hamstring. Also, I'd probably try to use not my carbon fiber plated shoes for a while. I just use normal shoes because that carbon fiber plated one. So if you go into injuries, you can do this in the app, or this is content.backawarebelt.com, and it'll be just the exact same login as your app. Here are a few ones. I need to read you this video. These are all 10-minute videos. Oh, sorry. Couple of little things. So with a tendinopathy, if you sit a lot, right, you're actually sitting right onto where the tendon, because it's the sit bone or the ischial tuberosity is where the tendon attaches. So what you want to do is, you want to roll up a towel. Oh, that one I was just saying, you can use a little massage ball. If you sign up for the course, we'll send one of these out to you for free.
Schletter is a good alternative.
Yeah, this is bigger. It's like 8 centimeters. The Schletter is probably like 6 centimeters. It's literally free with the course anyway. So if you're signing up, you'll be getting one in the post. All right. Then the other thing you can do, right, is, so I just on my hamstring rolling around. If I'm watching TV, I'll sit down and you'll roll around the hamstring, find the area that's sore. You'll see it's like a strand just below where it pinches, and that'll really help release it all off. Then the other thing is you want to roll up a towel, and you see where I'm putting that? So say if here is where my sit bone is when I'm sitting, I'm putting on here on my hamstring, because what it's going to do is give a little bit more, like the hamstring then isn't like completely flat in. So it's
Yeah.
rolled up, and that's just taking pressure off the other spot. So now I'm going to have pressure on where the towel is, as you can see here. So that's where in the hamstring it is. So I'm coming down a little bit lower, and now it's like it's not getting the same compressive forces. Let me see. I'm going to see these. I do need to update these, so it's good to go over these. So this is one for the hamstring tendon. So we're just going to do bridging. Single leg bridge, just get the hamstrings kind of working. Then this one, we're just going to, again, that's working more the glute while I'm keeping my pelvis stable. So I'm like, keep my belly button in. I have my hand on my stomach, so I don't want that to drop at all, because I want to teach you how to move through the hip. And then we'll keep the leg straight, and we'll do the same thing. I do that with the... Okay, this one again. So this is kind of looks at mobilizing the pelvis. So you just talk through that, and you're just going up and down with your knees, because I want to get that pelvis moving a little bit. Yeah, I need to review some of these. So that's one. The other one is like pelvic mobility. And I just have a foam roller between my legs. And I'm kind of just lifting up, and I'm reaching, because I want to kind of get my ribs and my pelvis moving a little bit freer. Okay, and like these are all like, 10-minute videos. And I just kind of mess around with different ones. Okay, so I'm finding that pelvis. What's this next one? Oh yeah, and then I'm just doing the same. I'm just kind of rotating that pelvis. And then I do the other one. So what I would do is the Pilates 1 week, the Pilates 1 day, pick one of these. If I had 20 minutes, I do 2 of them. If I had 10 minutes, I do 1 of them. And then I just rotate between these 5 videos on the hamstrings.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. So some of them work more on the glute, some of them work on the hamstring, some of them work on the pelvis. Then I like this one as well, the hamstring 3, which is going to have a little bit more single leg deadlift in it and a little bit more core stability stuff. So single leg deadlift, just hitting that top one. I have a video, I don't know why it's not in there. It's just of like a knee bend as well, with a band, and just doing like, or in a gym, the leg back in and then just one leg coming back out. Okay, so they're the exercises I would do, go into the rehab. The other thing I would do is, where is the best place to get it? Mobility and foam rolling. Just to get you moving better around that pelvis, I'll go to foam roll and massage releases. And you can do the hamstring release, but more importantly than that is the hip mobility release. I love this one. I bring my massage ball or hockey ball to bed I have it every night. And then you're just putting it in. And what we're going to do is release around. So if people come to me for physio, the amount of times I am literally just with my elbow doing what I'm doing in this video is unbelievable. So we want to just do that whole video one time. After that, you can just watch TV. Well, you can watch TV as you're doing it, but just to get a sense of it. Now, I bring that massage ball up to bed, but you don't have to. You can have it in your TV room, or whatever. But I do it in bed just because it's there. I might have forgot during the day, or I mightn't get down on the ground. Okay, good. So hope that helps.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now, someone else asked then a question on 2 questions. Or 1 question I got asked. Okay, was hurt my glute a month ago, which caused a sharp pain in the center of the buttock, which was running down into my hamstring when I would run. No issue when walking. Got some dry needling done on after the Chicago Marathon, and I took 2 weeks off running. Now started back slowly. The pain is a dull 3 out of 10. Is no longer affecting hamstring, and I'm running at very easy pace. Yeah, so I'd probably keep that going if it's not more than 3 out of 10. I'm doing glute bridges and side planks to build up strength. Is there any other rehab that I can do? Do you advise I go run with it? I would run as long as it's not getting worse. And the fact that you're doing indoor bike, I just mix and match those. And then finally, apart from dynamic, leg swings and bridges before I run. So just where I was saying with Dara, I would just go here and I would go to the hip rehab videos. Most likely you have piriformis syndrome. So it's the muscle underneath the glute that runs there. And if that's tight, that can push on the sciatic nerve, which causes the shooting pain down the hamstring. The fact that that hamstring pain is not there anymore is a good indicator that it's releasing off a little bit. So that rehab, that hip release video that I just showed, hip mobility Pilates, the hip mobility video, I would definitely do to keep going. And then I'd look over hip rehab 1 and hip rehab 2, because that's going to give you some different exercises to really get the glute firing, to take pressure off that. Okay, so look over the hip rehab videos, and similar to thing, I would do the Pilates once a week, because a lot of these things are like hitting the same. If we like running, like if you 80% of the things are the same. So if you want to clean up the like basics first, and then you can add in the stuff that's, you know, like the pelvic mobility, they're kind of 10-minute videos. But just be doing your Pilates once a week. We're changing the focus. Like if you go into, say, our advanced one, just for example, is, you know, week 1 is like a circuit, second is single leg and sliders, third is like weights, fourth is a Pilates kind of focus, fourth is a mobility, stability, and power, so adding more like speed. So we're always like varying up the focus, but it's all based on like what helps you keep you like strong and fit for running and just balanced in general. Now, the other thing then, just to say, we do have running related content in there. I haven't looked over these videos in a good while, so I just wanted to do this as well. So I have a pre-run routine of what you can do for like hamstrings. So this is one, I said this is old because I have that as a, yeah, this is old school. I didn't even have the place painted, so I used to just blur out the sides. All right, so this would be a routine I would do. God, it's 16 minutes. All right, it's a bit long. All right, yeah. I don't know if I have that time. I don't do any of these things really before my own runs. I just go out and run. But if I was doing, this is what I would do before a race. I'd use the ball, exact same place where I say, if I had time, if I'm doing a race, I always do this. So I'd bring the ball with me to a race, and I'm just going to release around the hips. Again, if I had an injury, like the person in that call said, I would probably do the mobility just to release every muscle before I went out. So it's basically just a quicker version of the hip mobility one that we would do. All right, so that's, then I'm just doing the 1990. I'm not a big fan of the 1990s. I probably was back in the day. They're all right. Then this is like just a little hip stretch to open up the front of the hip. That can kind of help with the back then if we're tight through here, just to get the hip moving a little bit freer. What am I doing? All right, this is very like mobility focused. Oh yeah, and then sometimes just around the back of the hamstrings. Okay. What do I do now? I must come up with another one then for a few activations. I'm sure I had done activations, but I probably, if I was doing ones, I would do that glute bridge, and most likely I'd probably do my hip. I go into the hip rehab. I do the squat shakers to warm up. Yeah, I do probably squat shakers as the main one to warm up, or I do single leg deadlift, and I just get those things burning before I go. Yeah, I must add a few others into that. Something to add it to the to-do list. The other thing then we did talk about, we talked about at the start, the 3 things. I'll do this in my warm-up then, because this is a good way to improve speed. So what I do is you're doing like just an easy run. Then I'm doing like some stretching and mobility rolls. So just like stretching different areas of the body. So I'll go through those, do my pelvic mobility. I always get slagged for those. Then I'm doing my hip flexor stretches, engaging the core. Okay, so I have all those there, and that's in the long warm-up section. And then here are some of my drills. So I'm going to do So these are just the mobility stuff. Now the Pilates will be better than this, but at least it's like you're getting some kind of like stretching or mobility in. I swear this was in the summer as well, and looks like a day to day is so grey, isn't it? Like, so high knees, just working on that different range of motion. And I always have both arms up. So you're trying to keep that stable. And then I'll walk back and I'll just stretch the hamstrings as I'm jogging back for like 2 seconds as we go, like this. No cameraman on the day here. That's why all the edits look crap. Toes towards the shins. Toes towards the shins. So I'm coming back just away. So when, say we went out 20 meters, and again, I'd probably cut some of the stuff. And this is the stuff like, Dara, I want you kind of doing for a little while. Just get like a bit like healthier, get everything moving correctly, you know, rather than focusing on just the longer runs. We know you have that, and you'll be able to click back into that as you go, like working on like your A skips, your mechanics, switching each time. So you're going tap, 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 tap. Takes a while to get used to that one. Tap, 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 tap. So this is just working on some of the mechanics that we'll have. And then I'm just stretching, just like doing a soleus stretch, just bending the back knee as I jog back. Then I'm going to do high knees. But again, I'm going to keep the knees out in front as we do bump kicks. God, it's 7 o'clock already. Yeah, so I'm just doing these. Knees are going out in front as I kick my bum. And then both arms up is because I don't want to start swaying. Then we're just going to do side to sides. I could do karaoke's, going to do some leg swings, and then I'm going to finish with strides. Okay, if it's a race though, about 10 minutes before the race, you want to do 30 seconds of a stride at race pace. You want to get yourself breathing hard. It's basically a thing called VO2 kinetics. It's like, yeah, getting your second wind. So that's just there as well for people. So you're just doing your one, last bit is strides, where I'm just adding those in, just nice and easy, feeling good, looking easy. Someone's like, Jesus, they're moving, but they don't look like they're going faster, but looking like crap is not what we're after here. Just nice and smooth, just a bit of a pickup. And it's good to add that in, especially as we're doing some of our aerobic work. So we just always have this in. It's going to really help. Okay, great. Dara, thanks a million. It was, I think a lot of people are in your kind of camp. They're kind of doing things. So it's hopefully, I always think you learn more listening to someone else. You can kind of, it's easier to kind of identify.
That's great. Thank you.
Brilliant. Yeah, and come on anytime to update or let me know how you're getting on. I love these chats. It makes them way more interactive.
Thanks very much, Sean.
Brilliant. Thanks, Dara. Take care.
Bye-bye.